guys, I wanted to take a few minutes today to discuss with you guys a question that I get asked all the time, which is, how do you approach somebody with a disability? What are the appropriate things to do and what are the inappropriate things to do? So I wanted to talk to you guys about that and just shed a little light on it. So I imagine that approaching somebody with a disability can sometimes be like being in a country where you don't know the customs and you don't speak the language. If you are not accustomed to being around people with a disability, it's very understandable that you may not know how to speak to them. If I was in France, I wouldn't know how to walk up to somebody and speak their language to them. And I might look very odd not knowing the customs of a country and trying to associate with people on their level when I don't understand that level. So I wanted to welcome you guys into the world of disability a little bit and share some of that with you. So when is it appropriate to approach somebody with a disability? The answer to that is very simple and yet very complicated. The answer is whenever it would be appropriate to approach anybody who does not have a disability. So there are good times to approach people and there are bad times to approach people. If somebody looks like they're having a bad day, it could be a good idea to smile at them and say something polite. Sometimes you judge that and you just back off a little and say, you know what, I probably don't need to bother them right now, So it just kind of depends. If you are at church and you sit down next to somebody with a disability, it's perfectly appropriate to say, hey, how's it going? So that's sort of a judgment call on your part. One thing I will say is it's never a good idea to avoid somebody simply because they have a disability. Make that judgment based on something else. If you feel like it's not an appropriate time to approach somebody with a disability, make sure it's not because of their disability. So the second part of that question is, how do you approach somebody with a disability? So again, in a lot of ways, it's the exact same way you would approach somebody who doesn't have a disability. So I do have a few tips I wanted to share with you guys. Number one, don't walk up to people and first thing point out their disability. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't walk up to somebody without a disability and say, hey, your skin color is a lot darker than mine. Or, I don't know too many people who have blonde hair. Well, you might. I guess you might. But generally you say things like, hey, how's it going? My name's Lacey. What's your name? That's how you kind of want to get to know people. And that's perfectly acceptable to do in the world of disabilities. Strike up a normal conversation. It's not that the disability is taboo or that it's not safe to talk about. It's just that the disability is not who they are. It is a part of who they are. So if you get into the conversation and you like somebody's blue eyes, when you get into the conversation, then you say, you have really striking blue eyes. It just, it really stands out to me. That's a part of a typical conversation. It's probably not typical for you to walk up to somebody and immediately say that. So, if you're in conversation and it comes up that, hey, I like your chair. I have a friend who, had one similar, etc. Normal conversational skills are very important. Another big tip that I want to share with you guys, is talking to the person with the disability. A lot of times people with disabilities will have caregivers with them. A lot of times they might be children, so they'll have their parents with them. It's okay to talk to that person about themselves. And it's okay to talk to the caregiver too, but make sure that you are addressing that person as a person. It's okay to make eye contact, and get this. If the person is obviously not going to respond to you because their limitations don't allow them to, it is perfectly okay for you to look them in the eye and speak to them as a human being, because that's what they are. And I bet they don't get that as often as you would hope, as I would hope, and it would probably mean a lot to them. There are so many times when people with disabilities don't have the ability to communicate or respond in ways that let us know that they hear and understand us, but they do hear and understand us. They know exactly what's going on around them. So it's okay for you to converse with them in a normal way. It's okay for you to compliment things about them. And two, on that note, people ask me a lot before they speak to Christian, can he hear me? Those questions are okay too. those are kinds of things you might want to know before you go address somebody, so that you can figure out, how do I address this person? And it's okay to say things like, may I take your hand? When you are figuring out, come sit in my lap, how you should address somebody. So those questions are perfectly okay to ask along the way. Most of all, my biggest piece of advice is just to be genuine, be kind, and let people know through your body language, through your tone of voice, through your eye contact, that you care, and that's really what they're looking for. And remember, above all, a person with a disability is a person first. And that's what they want to be treated like anybody else would want to be treated. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, leave a comment below. If you have some more tips that you'd like to share with the viewers, feel free to leave those below too. And if I left anything out, let me know. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well. Thanks, guys.